Well, good morning. I want to cover some stuff, and with the lighting, it looks like I'm growing a mustache. But the reality is, I actually have a full beard going, but it's just not that thick yet. But I guess that's my update on my beard, which, yeah, you can tell what's going on when you look at the video, but you know, it is what it is. So, anyway, I remember a story. I remember an old story where this pastor wanted to go hunting. So he took a 1-week sabbatical. He took his wife. They got their sights set on this deer. And they were excited. And the deer moved, so they went to chase it down, but then they stumbled down this hill. And as they stumbled down the hill, they went falling and rolling and tumbling, and, you know, normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but when they hit the bottom, they had a broken leg between them. He had one, she had one. So they couldn't get up. So then they're like, well, what do we do now? So they pull out their phone, go to make a phone call. The problem is they have no reception, so they can't make a call. The wife looks around and says, oh my goodness, this ain't good. And he goes, what's that? She points. Well, there's a big hungry bear just staring down at him. Oh no. So the bear is almost salivating. Just kind of growling a little bit and just putting his paws together and going like this with his paws a little bit, scraping the ground, and then he pounces. And they're trying to figure out their options between them, and it's very limited since they both have a broken leg. The bear gets closer and closer, and finally they go to the last resort of what they have, and they give a quick prayer, and they're like, dear Lord, please let this bear be a Christian bear. Well, the bear gets closer and closer, and right before it pounces on them, you can see it's getting ready to pounce, and right before it does, it drops on its butt, puts his front paws together and says, dear Lord, I bless you for this food I'm about to partake. Now, I love that story. It's a joke, but I love that story. But here's the gist of it. Our circumstances are not always going to be what we want them to be. And I know I've quoted it before, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, not to do good for you. Yeah, the rest of that verse. I'm getting a brain fart. I have that one memorized, and for some reason I just can't think of it. But it is, for I know the plans for you. It's not always going to be what you want. There is always a plan for you. You're either going to follow it or you're not. You don't follow it, God's still going to use you if you're willing. It might not be his first choice, but it will definitely be his choice. And again, I go back to Jonah, who had the same idea. He didn't want to do what God wanted him to do, but he ended up doing it anyway. Just you go through the Bible, and people just didn't always want to do what was done, but they did it anyway. And sometimes they went their own route, and God still used them. Moses hit the rock when he was supposed to hit something else, or do something else. He hit the rock the first time, and it worked. The second time, God said, do something else. That made absolutely zero sense. Moses hit the rock. He still got what he needed, water. The problem was, Moses had a consequence for it. So God can still use you no matter which way you go. He knows if you're going to mess up, and he knows when he's going to use you regardless. It's a comforting thought. Now, I know some people who don't like the idea that there's a God that actually knows what you're going to do before you do it. And they say, well, if that's the case, then it's destination. My destiny's already figured out. No, that's not the case. We don't know our destiny. The whole idea of destination is that we know our destiny or we don't. And we don't. God does, but we don't. So we still have a choice. God knows what choice we're going to make, but he's not telling us what the choice is. We're going to make our own choice. And by saying that, I'm going to get to a different topic slightly. And I'm going to say whether you like the president, whether you don't like the president, whether you like the last president, whether you didn't like the last president, God already knows who's going to be the next president. God knows it's going to be a landslide or it's going to be close. But the comforting thought is the fact that God has it under control. I don't like politics. I've said that before in my videos. I'm going to say it again. I do not like politics. But there's a reason for it. And I know that they have to have it. And I pray for them regardless whether I want to vote for them or not. Trump was in, I prayed for him. Biden's in, I prayed for him. Obama was in, I prayed for him. Clinton was in, I prayed for him. Bush was in, same thing. I mean, that's what we need to do. Whether we like him or not, we pray for him. It's that simple. I'm not going to get big into politics. But God knows what's going to happen. We don't. We're going to vote. And whoever gets the most votes is going to get it. We won't know until the day of the vote. But regardless, we need to pray for our leaders. Like them or not, we need to pray for them. Accept the fact that they actually won or think that they got cheated in. And I'm not saying one way or the other what I think. It doesn't matter. But the reality is, it's not going to change. He is our president. Whether if you didn't want him to be your president and you don't like him, pray for him anyway. If you want him to be your president and you do like him, pray for him anyway. That's where I'm going with it, is you need to pray for our leaders. You have a company you work for, and you have a boss. You need to pray for them. You need to work with them. They're not always going to be what you want them to be. They're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Pray for them. Uplift them. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate how you lead. Yeah, I said it kind of funny. But the point I'm getting to is there is a plan for you to do what you do. God has a reason for you to do what you do. Appreciate what you got. Be thankful for what you got. I've not done that enough in the past. I'm trying to make sure I've corrected that and made sure I said that in the present. If I'm not upset, if I'm upset with something, I get away from people till I have it figured out in my own head. So that way I can process it and get it figured out and calm down. But things are going to happen the way they need to happen. Not always going to be the way you want it to happen. I lost a bunch of pay yesterday because I was going to pick up an extra route for my job. There was an emergency route, so somebody had to grab it now, so they did. I didn't lose the route per se because it wasn't mine in the first place. But it needed to be done now, so I lost money there. Then I go into work, and then he had too many people, so he sent me home. My other job. So I lost money there. I was not happy because I really wanted to make extra money. It's always good to make extra money. I had an extra bill I wanted to cover. I'm not going to be able to cover it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be covered in its own way. I'll still be able to provide for it. That's not a problem. But I just wanted to be a little bit ahead. Maybe I needed money maybe God didn't see me needing the money for a bill that I think I need money for. Who knows? I was not happy. But I also was not upset either. I understood why on both cases. Some days you just got to accept the fact that things are not going to go the way you want. It happens. With anything. I've kind of jumped around a little bit, but the point is still the same. Things are going to go the way you want it to go, or they're not. You got to adjust. I don't always adjust very well. A lot of people don't adjust very well. But you got to find a way to adjust to what's going on if you're really invested in what's going on. Sometimes it might just be make a video. In my case, sometimes that's what it is. It might be listening to an old video that talks about how to calm down. Sometimes it's playing relaxing music in the background. Sometimes it's just, who knows? It could be a number of things. Maybe it's go home and build a deck of some kind of card game, or get with your daughter and play a game with your daughter or your son or whatever. But don't let things bother you in the long run, because it really doesn't matter. You know, things happen. Totes go tumbling against each other as I drive in turns. But it's okay. You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I appreciate you. I pray for whoever listens. I pray for whoever doesn't listen. If I can think of somebody to pray for, I pray for. I'm almost repeating myself, but sometimes these messages are repeatable. There was a pastor that went for a job. True story here. But there was a pastor that went for a job. And he preached a sermon. They wanted to check him out, so he came in and preached a sermon. They liked it. They hired him. So he got the job. The first sermon he gives was the exact same sermon again. And people were like, you know, that's great. We really appreciate it. Don't understand why he did it a second time, but we really appreciate it. The next time they go to church, he changes some of the wording, but the sermon is still the same. Changes some of the stories, so he keeps it fresh. But the sermon is the exact same message, same passage, same message. And people started questioning. So the next week they came. So this is the month now, 4 weeks in a row. He does the same thing. He does a different sermon, but the message is still the same. The scripture is still the same. And they're going up to him and they're like, why are you preaching the same thing over? We brought you in to teach different things each time you come in. And he turned around and looked at him and said, until I can see that you guys are getting it and I'm being told by God that you guys are getting it, I'm going to preach the same thing. It's kind of the same thing when it comes to God. He's going to tell us the same thing over and over. And the reason being is because he wants us to get it. Sometimes you have a hammer hitting you in the head. And sometimes you just don't understand why and you can't get it. And so he does it again. And you don't get it and he does it again. I got to go to work. I hate wearing these masks. But it is what it is. But here's the thing. Trust God and know that God has your best interest in heart. Always has your best interest in heart. He promises that and he guarantees that. So what I'm going to tell you is please like, share, and subscribe. Jeremiah 29:11. I know I preached that one quite a bit in my messages, but this is where I'm going with it. You need to understand that God has your best interest in mind. You guys be blessed and have a great day. Like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up. Yay! Big thumb in the face. And I'll talk to you guys later. Be blessed.